All right, so what's going on, you guys? Good morning. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Rodolfo Felix. I'm the solo once again. Let's see. Let's go ahead and jump straight into this. I just wanted to drop down below in the comments, one resolution for the new year. What's one thing that you are going to do, you're going to challenge yourself to do for the new year? Something that's different, something that is out of the ordinary. And let's keep it positive. Maybe this year you'll stop smoking cigarettes or smoking in general. Maybe this year you're gonna stop drinking, or maybe slow down on the drinking or limit the drinking. Maybe your goal is to even be more simple. Maybe your goal is to simply stay up less, get more rest on the regular basis. If you're in school, to stay on top of your homework. I remember being in school, that was every year, that's always the go-tos. I'm gonna get better grades, I'm gonna focus more in class. So what's your resolution? Drop it down in the comment section down below. And to be fair, I'm gonna go ahead and share one of my resolutions. And I spoke about it last week. And one of my resolutions is actually to do a daily reflection. Now, it's 4 days into the new year, and I'm probably 1 for 4, to be honest, maybe 2 for 4. That's just how it works. You set a goal, you work towards it, and you work towards it. You may fall short, you may fall off, but you always have the power to continue. January doesn't mean this is the only beginning. If you start strong in January, you fall off to February, March, you can definitely pick it up in April. Okay, so set a goal and work towards it. It's better. Setting a goal is better than not having a goal at all. So anyways, drop down below in the comment section, what's one new resolution for this year, 2021. And like I said, for me, is to write down daily goals. That's like a personal goal for me. And then something for you guys to kind of keep me accountable on is for this channel and my vlog channel, I want to reach 1,000 subscribers. That's another goal of mine. And we talked about it a little bit on last time's podcast, is how do I do that? I gotta be consistent with my video uploads. I gotta be creative. I gotta challenge myself. But enough with all that. Let's go ahead and jump straight into it. Today's topic, today's theme, this is going to be a quick one. It's going to be about 15 to 30 minutes. It's going to be about like making mistakes. And if you're not willing to make mistakes, then like you're not really committed. Because when you're committed to something, you're willing to go through the suffering, you're willing to go through the pain that it takes to get to where you want to be. I'm a true believer in that. The older as I get, I'm a true believer in that there is no destination. It's just the journey. Every day, step by step, it's just about the journey. I think we get caught up in results. We get caught up in like the end all be all. You guys, that's very deceptive. You know what I'm saying? Even people who have it are still in pursuit of it, or still in pursuit of something. I always think about, I can't wait until I get a job that's gonna fully support my lifestyle, then I'll be happy, then my anxiety will decrease. But in reality, there's always going to be something. So that's why it's important to stay focused on the journey, doing it day by day, the best to your ability, constantly improving, constantly being critical to yourself in a positive manner, not like being insecure, but constantly, at a soft jog, at a soft pace, because if you're constantly at a sprint, you're going to burn yourself out. And you see it all the time, especially in the new year. People want to go to the gym 5-6 days a week after having no history of the gym, then they find themselves not even 2 months later, they're burnt out, or on that 4th month, they're just burnt out. They have a sour taste with the gym. They start hating people who are consistent, so today's theme again is just failing and pushing forward. It's persevering. It's coming to a realization that losing, backtracking is literally part of the journey. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of any examples of people who've taken losses and pursued, but I'm sure there's plenty of examples. And you may know someone personally. It may be a celebrity, it may be a loved one they've taken an L in life, a loss, and then they turned it for their good. I think for those who are starting this year off pretty rough, maybe they already backtracked. Maybe they're in a very, like, their circumstances are bad, worse than others. I think that kind of like that saying, kind of like a bow. When you pull back the bow, it only propels you to shoot farther. I think that's very true. And I think a lot of it, again, you guys, the reason why I created this podcast is because a lot of it has to do with your mindset and your mentality. And that's why I call this podcast the Mindtality, because, again, back with the whole bow thing, some of us may be starting this year in some turmoil, meaning that nothing good has come out of this year yet. Maybe they transition going into the new year still with some baggage from last year. Maybe, like, circumstances really hadn't changed with their job. Maybe they don't have a job yet. Maybe they're still looking for a job. Maybe that's where in 2020 they were looking for a job. Still in 2021 they're still looking for a job. Maybe you're not getting the support you wanted from your loved ones, from your friends. You guys, that's all the arrow. That's all that visual representation of putting an arrow on that bow. And everything that's going bad, it's you feel like you're being held back. You feel like there's just so much resistance. All that is that bow is being recoiled back. It's being pulled back, and then you just keep pushing and you keep going about your day. And you got to keep your mind strong. You have to believe that what you're doing is worth it. You have to believe what you're doing is purposeful, and then boom, you start seeing results. Things start working in your favor. I'll tell you what, things really won't work in your favor if you don't try to make them work in your favor. That's how you can guarantee that nothing's going to work out for you, is when you don't do anything about it. If you're in a place where you can do something, if you can submit an application, then you're doing something about it. But if you can submit the application and you don't, and you're just crying about how the job you had was better, or I wish we didn't do this, you're defeating. You're not believing in the purpose. And believing in the purpose is embracing the failure, embracing the resistance, embracing the tension. I remember in 6th grade, I was supposed to go to a middle school that I lived locally for years. Like, my whole childhood up until I was 11, I was going to school with the same friends that I had. And in 6th grade, we moved to San Bernardino, which was out of the school district that I grew up in. And this was like a consistent pattern of, like, whenever I'm excited about something or something big was going to happen. Like, you guys, this is my first year going to middle school. So 6th through 8th, I had just finished 5th grade. I was so excited to meet, because look, this is how it works. So first through 4th grade, I was in the Highland district on one side of the district, and then 5th and 6th grade, I was in the other side of Highland district. So that middle school that I was going to transfer to was actually in between both. So I would finally be able to reunite with my friends that I left in 4th grade, and then I would transition with the people I grew up with in 5th and 6th grade. So it was going to be like this combination of, like, all these friends. And so pulling up to the school, they said that I wasn't even in no, I'm sorry. So what happened was, in 6th grade, when it was that time, it was the first day of school, my mom took me straight to the San Bernardino district, like the local school there, Double Hill Middle School. And the middle school that I was supposed to, and that I was enrolled in, that we didn't know about, was Serrano Middle School. So my mom assumed that because we moved from Highland to San Bernardino, from district to district, that they were automatically going to switch because they seen a change of address, but they didn't. They kept me in Highland's school district. So when we went to San Bernardino, the local school by our house, they said, your son isn't in our school district. Your son isn't enrolled into our school district. It says that he's enrolled in Highland, but because your address is in our school district, here's the paperwork to transfer him over. And my mom said, actually, it's going to work better if he could just stay with his friends and stuff. And they said, that's not how it works. financing, blah blah blah, through public school education is people who live in the district, blah blah blah. So eventually, you can take them to the school he's enrolled in right now. You can take him to Serrano, but in a couple days, they're just going to transfer him over back here. So it's best if you do the paperwork now. And I remember being so upset because I felt like, man, I had something going for me. Like, I was super excited to really reunite with my friends and to grow up with all my childhood friends. And you know what, guys? That year when I went to 7th grade at Double A Hill, I was put into a brand new school district, changed my life forever. Sure, I was influenced negatively, but it allowed me to see life for what it is when it came to friends and just how lifestyle and behavior really impact your future. You know, I've seen kids my age, 12 years old, turning 13, 13 years old, turning 14, really make some very crucial decisions. You know, from getting pregnant in high school, I've seen middle schoolers get pregnant at that school. Violence, stabbings, shootings, drugs, alcohol, DUIs, tattoos in 7th grade, like stuff like that I seen. And to me, it was a moment of kind of like realization, like, wow, like I never would have experienced all this and my eyes wouldn't have been open to this extent if I maybe would have went to that Highland school district. Like, if in my mind, like if everything went to plan in my mind, I thought like everything was going good for me. But in reality, I wouldn't take back me transferring to a new school district, because the things that I've learned, like the people that I met, and just like seeing a whole different side, like would I be influenced the same if I stayed to what I wanted, like the plan I had for myself. And I felt like I was being held back, and I felt like nothing was working out for me. But in reality, it worked for my good, because I got to see like a whole nother side of how teenagers work, and how the psyche is like in communities that are affected, like in San Bernardino, the poor communities, and the influences that they have from their older siblings and their parents, and how if you're not careful about the decisions you make as a youth, as a teenager, how it cycles. It cycles at a very young age, as early as 12 years old. So you guys, if you're in a position right now where things aren't working out for you, don't buy into that. That is deception. You guys have to believe that your life is unique. I always tell people that I don't care if you're born in the same household, the same country, the same state, the same city. You have a very unique DNA. Your psyche, your mind is completely designed differently compared to anyone else. I don't care if they're your mom, your dad, your brother, sibling. I don't care if you're a twin. Your DNA is still different. It's very unique. So that means that your struggles and your purpose is very unique. You don't want to have a silver spoon childhood. I mean, sure, it's nice and there's nothing wrong with that, but it wouldn't make you who you are now. Like, your personality is because of the lifestyle that you were brought in. Your personality is because of the path that you've taken, the path that you've been led to. So I'm a big believer in that there is no wrong decision. Like, your decision was purposeful, whether it was a bad decision or a good one. It was still purposeful, because you can still learn something from that situation, and you have the power to pass that down to your kids, so they don't make those same mistakes, and then their kids, and then you have a cycle of good, like a pattern of good, like where in the family, it's just common not to do something because of experiences that happen to you, and that's that power of a cycle, but that cycle would never take place if you weren't going through what you're going through now. So that's why I always encourage you guys to write down reflections. That's why I always encourage you guys to really think about what you do and to kind of analyze what you do, because you can kind of see things kind of pan out. There's a video on YouTube. It's like Steve Jobs speaks at Stanford for their graduation. And he always says that, like, live in the present and don't try to figure things out as you go. Just keep going and trusting what you do. And when you look back, you're going to figure out, like, oh, things were supposed to fall into place like that. Like, things were supposed to happen like that. you know. So that's for today's words of encouragement, you guys. It's failure and how it's essential to your purpose. You know, just for, we can stay on Steve Jobs. I read his book when I was in 10th grade. um Steve Jobs was a college student. He on purpose went to one of the most expensive colleges local to him, and because he resented his parents. He was an orphan. His parents gave him up at birth, and then his adopted parents adopted him and decided they wanted to grow after all. And so they gave him back. So he was denied twice by two sets of parents. And then a less fortunate family, or like, I don't know what you would want to call them, a poor family, was willing to take Steve Jobs in. But the second, so you had the biological parents gave him up, they're out of the picture. The rich family that took him in, that were paid a lot of money for Steve Jobs, decided they wanted a girl, but so they gave him back. But they still feel like they had the power to say who can adopt their adopted kid. And when the poor family stepped forward, they said, no, they're not really financially stable. We'll feel guilty. Like, our conscience will feel guilty if he goes into a poor home that we could have offered. But they promised that they would save money for him to go to college. Like, that was their one promise. Like, if you let us have, this is the poor family speaking to the richer family who had initially adopted him. They said, if you let us adopt him, we'll make sure he goes to college. They agreed. So Steve Jobs was just so bitter about being denied two sets of parents that his third parents, who were actually willing to save for him and provide for him, he decided to pick the most expensive college to go to, just to kind of empty their pockets. Anyways, he didn't really show up to class. He would enroll, but he would show up to classes that he wasn't enrolled in. Like, funny enough, there were like computer classes and designing classes and stuff like that. And he just, the whole thing was, he just didn't feel like he was college material. Like, he didn't really have a drive for college, and he was just doing it again to get back at his parents and just to get away from his home. And so he actually ended up dropping out. And, you know, he really felt like he let his parents down looking back, but he realized that if he didn't go to those classes he wasn't supposed to, and if he didn't drop out, he wouldn't have the knowledge and the time to begin investing in his own career, you know. And a lot of people believe that, like, college is the answer, and it may be for some, but for others it may not be. It may just be part of the journey, you know. So don't feel like if you started college and dropped out, don't feel like that's the end of you. Don't feel like that's your identity. Like, that's where people like will love you if you do. Like, don't ever feel like that. Don't ever feel like if you had a certain job and then you decided to quit it, or if you made a certain move in your life and you decided to change it, don't feel like that's your happiness. No, your happiness is in the journey. Your happiness is not in some destination or in some identity, whatever it is. You know, mistakes have to happen, and if you're not willing to make mistakes, then just give up, because mistakes are essential. Mistakes make you who you are. You know, your best teacher is your last mistake. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to do it for today's podcast. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you leave a like, make sure you subscribe, and comment down below any part that inspired you. I want to hear from you guys, and thank you again. This is Rodolfo Felix, the Mentality Podcast, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.